Good day everyone, I am Marisol Vergara from Bid2F, and the topic that I will discuss is about using dataset and constructing a bar graph and line graph, then interpret. For routine activities, greetings, prayer, checking of attendance, and review will be done. In review, I'll ask what is data, what is frequency table, because the student should know that because we are going to use it in our discussion. For learning competencies and objectives, interpreting data presented in different kind of bar graphs and line graph. For objectives, analyze a single and double bar graph and line graph. Illustrate data presented in different kinds of bar graph and line graphs, and then draw a bar graph and line graph. The bar graph is a chart of graphical representation of data, quantities, or number using bars. It also used to show the comparison of data from the different variables. Bar graph has two types, which are single bar graph and double bar graph. Here is an example of single bar graph. Let us first discover what are the parts of bar graph. The vertical and horizontal axis, it shows the data we gathered. And then the title, it shows us what the bar graph is about. Here are two bar graphs. Can you please point out what is the difference of the two bar graphs? Correct. The bar graph in the right side is horizontal, while the bar graph in the left side is vertical. Now we're going to interpret the bar graph. First, we're going to look for its part. What is the title of the bar graph? Correct. The title of the bar graph is the favorite color of students in Section A. In a vertical bar graph, what information is placed along the horizontal axis? Correct. The information in the horizontal axis is the favorite colors of the students in Section A. How about in vertical axis? Right, the information in vertical axis is the number of students. In horizontal bar graph, what information is placed along the horizontal axis? Correct, the number of students. How about in vertical axis? Correct, the favorite color of the students in Section A. How many students choose pink as their favorite color? Correct, 9. Which color is the least favorite of the students in Section A? Correct, yellow. Which is the most favorite color of the students in Section A? Correct, blue.
Green.
How many more students choose blue as their favorite color than yellow? For us to be able to answer, we need to subtract the number of students who choose yellow and the number of students who choose blue. So 15 minus 6 is equal to 9. Therefore, the answer is 9. How many students choose their favorite color? To know the answer, we're going to add all the numbers of students who choose their favorite color. There are 18 students choose green, 6 students choose yellow, 15 students choose blue, and
9.
students choose pink. Now, how many students choose their favorite color? Correct. The answer is
38.
Now, there is another example of horizontal and vertical bar graph. Can you tell what is the difference between these bar graphs from the other bar graph that we used before? Okay, these bar graphs are example of double bar graph. The double bar graph is a graphical display of information using two bars beside each other at various heights. We use a double bar graph to compare two data groups. In a double bar graph, we will use a legend. It is necessary for a double bar graph. which represent the data to be compared. To interpret the double bar graph, we need to look to its parts, which are the title, vertical and horizontal axis. But in double bar graph, we will include the legend. Look into the labels and the scales. Now, can I ask what is the title of the bar graph? Correct. The title of the bar graph is the pen bought by the students in section B. How about in double vertical bar graph? What does the vertical axis represent? Correct. It represents the number of students. How about on horizontal axis? Right, it represents the pen. Next, in a double horizontal bar graph, what does the vertical axis represent? Right, it represents the pen. How about in horizontal axis? Correct, the number of students. What group of data are being compared? Since we're using double bar graph, we have two data that we need to compare. So this time, we're going to look at the legend. The data are boys and girls, and we're also going to look in the title. So, what do you think is the answer? Correct. The group of data being compared is the pens bought by boys and girls in section B. How many girls bought pencil? Now, to answer the question, we're going to look at the legend. As we can see, in the legend, color pink was used to represent the number of girls. So, how many girls bought pencil? Correct.
15.
Girls bought pencils. How about the boys? Correct. 9. How many more girls than boys bought pencil? To know the answer, we're going to subtract the number of boys who bought pencil in the number of girls who bought pencil. So what is the answer? Correct. The answer is 9. How many boys bought ball pens? Correct. 12. How about girls? Right. 6. How many more boys than girls bought ball pen? Correct. The answer is 6. And the last question is, what is the most bought pen by the students? To know the answer, we're going to add first the number of boys who bought ball pen and the number of girls who bought ball pen. So what is the answer? Correct. 18. Next, we're going to add the number of boys who bought pencil plus the number of girls who bought pencil. So what is the answer? Correct.
24.
Now that we already add the data, it is easy for us to know what is the most bought pen by the students. So let us go back to the question. What is the most bought pen by the students? Correct. Pencil. Before we proceed to our discussion, let us have a recap. What are the parts of the bar graph? Correct. The title, the horizontal and vertical axis, and the legend. What are the types of bar graph? Correct. Single and double bar graph. How we are going to interpret the bar graph? Right. We need to look into its part. First, find the vertical and horizontal axis. Look into the label and scale, and look for the legend. And also, look for the title. So, most of you already know the parts of the bar graph and how to interpret the bar graph. So, we can move forward in our discussion. Now, we're going to talk about the line graph. Line graph is a type of chart used to show information that change over time. Here we have data in the table that we will use to construct a line graph. To construct the line graph, we're going to evaluate the table and decide how many columns and rows we're going to make. The days will represent the horizontal axis and the number of sandwiches sold will represent the vertical axis. Since there are 7 days in a table, therefore, we're going to draw 8 horizontal lines. For the number of sandwiches sold, we're going to look for the highest and the lowest number of sandwich sold in a day. What is the highest number of sold sandwich? Correct. The highest number of sandwich sold in a day is 100 pieces. And the lowest number of sandwich sold in a day is 20 pieces. So now we're going to decide what interval we're going to use. Since the highest number is 100 and the lowest number is 20, we're going to use 10 as interval, starting from 20. Therefore, we're going to draw 9 vertical lines. Now, we're going to plot a point. For Monday, the number of sandwich sold is 70. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct. Next to 70. For Tuesday, 40 sandwich were sold. So where we're going to plot a point? Correct. Next to 40. For Tuesday, 19 sandwich were sold. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct. Next to 90. In Thursday, 100 sandwich were sold. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct. Next to 100. How about on Friday? How many sandwich were sold? Correct. 50. So where are we going to plot a point? Right, next to 50. For Saturday, how many sandwich were sold? Correct, 30. So where are we going to plot a point? Right, next to 30. For Sunday, there are 20 sandwich were sold. So where are we going to plot a point? Right, next to 20. After we plot the points, we're going to connect it. Next, we're going to construct a double line graph. Since we already have a graph for sandwich, we're just going to add the graph for fries. For Monday, the canteen sold 25 fries. Where are we going to plot a point? Correct, at the center or between the number of 20 and 30. For Tuesday, the canteen sold 78 fries. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct. We're going to plot a point between 70 and 90. For Wednesday, the canteen sold 30 pieces of fries. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct, next to 30. In Thursday, the canteen sold 40 pieces of fries. So where are we going to put a point? Correct, next to 40. On Friday, the price sold was 90. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct, next to 90. In Saturday, how many fries were sold? Correct, 98. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct, in the middle of 90 and 100. On Sunday, how many fries were sold by the canteen? Correct, 54. So where are we going to plot a point? Correct, in the middle of 50 and 60. If the line goes up, it means an increase in value. While if the line goes down from the previous point, it means a decrease in value. Now, we're going to interpret the graph. What is the title of the graph? Correct. The title of the line graph is the number of sandwich and fries sold in a canteen daily. What does the scale in vertical axis represent? Correct. It represents the number of fries and sandwich sold per day. In which day or days where the sandwich sold is greater than fries? Correct. In Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the number of sandwich sold was greater than the price. What is the difference between the number of sandwiches sold and the fries sold on Friday? Correct. The difference in the fries were 40 more sold than sandwich. What is the total number of sandwiches sold from Monday to Friday? Correct. 400 or 40. What about the fries? Correct. 415. For today's activity, construct a bar graph, then interpret the data and answer the following question. For number 2, construct a vertical and horizontal bar graph using the given data in the table, then interpret. Number 3, construct a single line graph with the use of the given data, then interpret the question. For number 4, construct a line graph then use the given data, then interpret. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Goodbye!